Hey guys, how's it going? Tong here. It's been a long time since I've done a video blog. I think the last one I did was in 2013. But that's because not much happened last year. The main thing that happened last year was I wanted to study Korean harder to get to Korea. And now I am in Korea. So I've basically accomplished that. But I just want to note that when I was studying Korean, I went to different academies and took some online courses in doing Korean, but I found and also read some Korean books. But for those of you who want to study a different language, my recommendation, my suggestion is to find a tutor, because once I found a Korean tutor, that was for 3 months last year before I came to Korea. I found a Korean tutor, and that was really helpful for me to learn Korean. I think without that Korean tutor, I would be completely lost in understanding Korean at all, because when you study from the book or website or something, they don't actually teach you the way that people speak and the way that you have to listen to the nuances in actual daily conversation. You just know some kind of formal grammar and stuff, but it doesn't really help you, right? But in my opinion, getting a tutor for 3 months was the best thing that happened to me, because that really upped my Korean level a lot. So that's basically what happened last year in 2014. But now it is March 2015, and I've been in Korea for over 3 months now, and I love it so far. I definitely like it better than my life in America, but that's just my preference, because in my opinion, Korea has a really good nightlife, and that's the main thing that attracts people here is the nightlife. That's much better than America, because things are open here 24 hours, and there's a lot of things to do. And yeah, it's just very fun to meet people here. So yeah, that's out of the way. I want to comment about something, some trends that have been going on a while, since I haven't done that for a while. So just let me give my opinion on some of these things. Okay. So regarding virtual reality, that's been a really big trend recently, is VR. I think it's really cool that the Oculus Rift DK2, which I reviewed in some of my videos, and Google Glass as well. And I also reviewed the Sony HMZ headset. So some of these virtual reality devices or headsets and stuff, I think are really, really cool. And I think it could definitely become kind of big if you really look at gaming. So if you do a lot of gaming and stuff, then I think virtual reality is going to be the next thing. Like how 3D was the thing for a while for games. There was like an NVIDIA 3D Vision, which was there for a while, and you had to get like a special monitor with a 120 hertz refresh rate, and you had to get an NVIDIA graphics card for that. But 3D gaming was a big thing for a while, a few years. But now it's switched to virtual reality now, and now we have Oculus Rift. Now we have Valve and HTC entering the VR market, which is the HTC Vive, and now Microsoft made the HoloLens, which is also really cool. So I'm hoping that in the future we can definitely all watch first-person porn. No, seriously. I think VR movies, VR games is going to be huge, and it's good. The only thing is people are going to have to get used to wearing those headsets. But again, I think as many people are interested in 3D right now or back then are going to be interested in VR, because it's a lot better experience. I don't think 3D was ever that much better than not 3D. And the second thing is Apple Watch. I watched the Apple keynote, and they introduced 2 new devices there. I'm going to talk about Apple Watch first. Apple Watch, I think it's overpriced for what it is. I mean, you're going to pay at least $350, right, is the base model. And if you want to get the Apple Watch, the actual Apple Watch, not the sport one, if you want to get the Apple Watch with the metal bands and stuff, it's going to cost you like $500 to $1,000. If you want to get the gold one, the gold version, it's at least 10K. It goes up to 17K if you want an actual good band with it. I mean, the 10K version comes with a sport band, which is like, that's like something that you find in a fitness trackers, right? I mean, who wants to get a gold watch with a sport band? No one does. So you have to pay 17K for the leather band. So that is pretty overpriced for what it is, for something that will be obsolete in 1 or 2 years when they release the Apple Watch 2 and needs an iPhone to function. I mean, I would just take the Pebble Time Steel instead, which lasts 10 days, looks similar. It works with Apple and Android. You can go swimming with it because it's actually, better water resistance than the Apple Watch, and you can use any 22 millimeter band with it and stuff. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of Apple Watch. And let's talk about the other introduction which happened there and there, which was the new MacBook. And what do I think about it? I think that the new MacBook impresses me because of the technology inside of it. It impresses me because it's so thin. The way they were able to layer the batteries, and the USB port, USB-C, which can do everything. It's fanless because of Core M processor. And I'm really impressed by how they're able to fit that inside it. That circuit board, how they made it so small. But I think that they should have put at least another USB-C port in there, because the USB-C port is used for charging as well as everything else, right? So if you're going to have to use it for charging, then you should probably have another one so that users can actually do other things with it, like actually put a USB device on it and actually output a display, things like that. I mean, just to have a charger and something else. I realize that it has over 10 hours of battery life, but still people are going to want to plug in their devices to charge it and also do other things with it. And I don't want to buy an $80 adapter to do that. So yeah, I think that they should have put at least another USB port on that. I remember back in the days of netbooks, when every computer had like a noisy fan, 3 hours of battery life was average, and it was pretty thick and bulky. But now, like, people are making these really thin devices, higher performance, better battery life, and fanless. So I think that people these days are going to get used to smaller and thinner devices. But I also miss the UMPCs back in the day. Like, I reviewed some in my video about the Sony UX and the Fujitsu UH900, all these UMPCs and netbooks and stuff would be so much better now with the new processors. And I like the form factor of the UMPC. It's just that no one had UMPCs much back in the day. They were not popular because they were underpowered and expensive. But now I believe you can make it much better using the new processors, fanless processors, better battery life, etc. So I hope that someone can make a new UMPC like that. That's my goal, my dream anyway. It's my little pipe dream. Something I also want to talk about that happened a few months ago was the release of the iPad Air 2 and iPad Air 2 and iPad Mini 3. And I know I'm a little bit late on this because it came out in October, but I just want to note that it seems that Apple is focusing more on profits these days than on actually doing innovation. Because when Steve Jobs was alive, he would have never allowed an iPad to be released that was basically the same as last generation. Like, the iPad Mini 3 is basically the same as the Mini 2. It just has a Touch ID, okay? That's the only thing that's different. I don't think Steve Jobs would have allowed that. The other thing he wouldn't have allowed is to sell 5 different models of the iPad, including the iPad 2, which was there when Steve Jobs was alive, to be sold at the same time. I mean, that's like if he sold all the previous generations of the iPhone at the same time, all the previous generations of iPod at the same time. I don't think that Steve Jobs would have allowed that. He was definitely against confusing consumers with all these different product choices. One of his things about getting back to Apple was to cut down the number of choices, right? And he hated confusing consumers. He wouldn't have let all these different iPhones and iPads being sold at the same time. That's something I want to comment about when the iPad Air 2 and the iPad Mini 3 came out. And the other news that I heard about recently, Microsoft killing off Internet Explorer and replacing it with Spartan. I think that this is a move that obviously had to happen because IE has been going downhill for quite a while, and no one likes IE, at least not the people who use Firefox and Chrome, right? So I'm glad that IE is dead as a developer, that we don't have to support IE anymore once this gets killed off, but there's still many countries that are using IE, so that's still a problem if you want worldwide global support. Now we have another new browser to support. I'm not sure how good it is, how much better it is than IE 11, but yeah, we'll see. Anyways, and also Windows 10 comes out. It's apparently free to everyone to upgrade for the first year, so I hope that it's at least as good as Windows 7, because I hated Windows 8, and I thought that Windows 8 was terrible, that it because it tried to combine a mobile operating system and a desktop operating system into one, and it was really, really jarring, that operating system. So I haven't touched Windows 8. Okay, another thing I want to talk about, Sony. I love Sony. I'm using a Sony video recorder right now to record this video. I have a Sony phone, an Xperia Z3 Compact. I've reviewed the Sony HMC T3. I've reviewed the Sony Vaio computers. I love their headphones, their Walkmans, cameras, etc. But unfortunately, they're going downhill because, because they're not really good at marketing, and they're not good at making their products seem really good. And the problem is they have this reputation of creating products that people don't think are worth the money. I think they are. I think they're great design. I think they are great products. They are good quality, and they have high prices to reflect that, much like I think of them as a Japanese Apple, but they have this problem of getting that image out to consumers. Consumers just see Samsung, they see LG, they see, I don't know, Xiaomi, Huawei or something, and those, or Lenovo, or those phones and computers are going to be much cheaper. And compared to Sony, well, obviously they're going to choose those ones. Sony has to get its point across as being the better quality manufacturer, and it hasn't done that. So that's too bad. I also have the PS Vita, which is sadly not very appreciated also. But I think the PS Vita is much better than the Nintendo 3DS anyway. Another thing I want to talk about is drones, which is this other technology that also came with VR around the same time. And I like the idea a lot. I've always wanted a drone to follow me wherever I go and help me shoot videos and pictures. Because whenever I go on trips, I'm always the one holding the camcorder, so I can't shoot myself. I guess if a drone can follow me with a good, accurate connection and GPS and have good battery life, it would be good. The problem is the battery life for drones is like 30 minutes tops right now, and they need to improve on that. But, you know, once they do, inevitably it will happen sometime in the future. I definitely see myself picking up one of those and just walking around shooting some videos and stuff. And the other thing I want to talk about is some other technology that's come out. Swift code. I love the idea since Apple came out with it last year. They also made it easier for people to program iPhone apps. I didn't learn Objective-C. I think that C was kind of an old, it was kind of old language, and it's very different than Java or JavaScript like I'm used to. But now I got Swift, so it's got a JavaScript-like syntax, which I can use. It's going to be easier for me to learn. I'll definitely use it. Another technology, Raspberry Pi 2, which is basically a computer, but it's the circuit board for computer is now $35. It's just very cheap, and it's got a nice quad-core processor. It's very powerful, and I think that's totally worth it. And I've always been interested in small computers and gadgets, as you can see in my reviews, and robots. And I'm definitely excited for this in case someday I want to build my own UMPC. And definitely the Raspberry Pi, the Arduino, the BeagleBoard, and related kind of gadgets and these kind of little computers. It definitely helps for these kind of hobbies.